Before we look at the stages themselves, it helps to understand what this journey represents. These 7 stages describe how a person makes meaning of the world, how they relate to themselves and others, and how they respond to challenge and uncertainty. Each stage brings its own strengths and limitations. None is better or worse than another. They simply reflect different ways a human being learns to feel safe, capable, purposeful, and connected. To bring these stages to life, we will follow the story of a man named Eric. He begins his journey in the rough landscape of sheer survival and gradually grows into a man who can hold complexity, create meaning, and care for others with depth and steadiness. Through Eric's experiences, we can see how each stage feels from the inside. His thoughts, fears, strengths, and turning points show us how development unfolds in real life. As you read, you may recognize moments from your own path. You may see where you once stood, where you stand now, or where you feel yourself beginning to move. The purpose is not to place yourself in a box, but to understand how growth happens over time and what it looks like when a man develops greater presence, purpose, and maturity. Let us step into the first stage and begin the journey. Let us start with the earliest stage, which we call the survivor. In this place, a man reads the world through the lens of danger. His body stays tense, his mind scans for what might go wrong, and trust feels risky. He believes he must stay in control because control feels like survival. The strength here is the sharp awareness. He spots problems early and reacts fast when others freeze. But the same vigilance that protects him also traps him. Under pressure, he withdraws or becomes defensive, even when no real threat is present. Over time, he begins to wonder, often in quiet moments, whether life must always feel this hard. In work, this looks like the man who cannot unplug because slowing down feels unsafe. At home, it shows up as the partner who reacts strongly to small conflicts, not from aggression but from an alarm that never turns off. Let us move on and see what opens when survival is no longer the whole story. The next stage is the settler, where a man discovers the safety of belonging. He measures the world by how well he fits in and how successfully he keeps the peace. He adjusts quickly to others and often hides parts of himself to avoid conflict. His gift is loyalty. He supports the group, brings calm, and offers stability. But the cost is silence. He avoids uncomfortable conversations and gradually loses touch with his own voice. A quiet restlessness begins to grow. He wonders what it would feel like to speak honestly rather than simply maintain harmony. At work, this might be the man who stays in a familiar role long after it has stopped fitting. At home, he may keep conversations safe rather than true, hoping comfort will carry the relationship forward. Let us move to the stage where confidence begins to grow from the inside. Now we enter the craftsman stage, where a man makes sense of the world through competence. He trusts skill, precision, and mastery. He feels safest when he understands the details and can shape outcomes with his own hands. His contribution is real. He lifts standards, solves difficult problems, and becomes the dependable expert. But pressure narrows his focus. He doubts perspectives he cannot measure and carries the weight of always needing to be right. Then something shifts. Even perfect execution feels incomplete, and he begins to sense a deeper question rising inside him. Professionally, he becomes the one everyone turns to for solutions, yet he secretly fears being seen as anything less than competent. In his relationship, he handles every practical detail but may struggle with emotional openness. Let us step into what happens when a man starts to seek purpose beyond mastery. The next stage is the builder, where a man shifts from doing the work to shaping the direction. He believes progress is his responsibility and measures his value through clarity, structure, and outcomes. He sees himself as the one who must hold everything together, His gift is leadership. He brings order to complexity, moves projects forward, and unites others around a shared goal. But the weight grows heavy. Under pressure, he tightens control, assumes he must know the way, and disconnects from his deeper needs. Over time, he feels an ache that success cannot satisfy. Achievement no longer answers the longing within him. At work, he may be celebrated, yet privately wrestle with a sense of emptiness. At home, he may take charge of everything, only to realize that his partner wants presence rather than solutions. Let us see what emerges when the search for progress becomes the search for meaning. Now we come to the wanderer, where a man steps beyond the structures he once trusted. He questions assumptions, listens to intuition, and explores the edges of his own identity. Certainty fades, and curiosity becomes his compass. His contribution is fresh perspective. He opens new possibilities, challenges rigid patterns, and invites others to see differently. But without structure, he can drift. Ideas multiply faster than decisions, and commitment feels difficult. Inside him, a deeper longing forms. He wants freedom, but he also wants a direction that feels true. In work, he may reconsider his entire path, guided more by values than by status. At home, he may seek emotional honesty and depth, even if it means facing truths he once avoided. Let us move to the stage where insight begins to gather into grounded clarity. Here we arrive at the weaver stage, where a man sees the deeper patterns that shape people, relationships, and systems. He understands how everything influences everything else. He listens deeply and holds multiple truths with patience. His contribution is integration. He helps groups slow down, reflect, and find wisdom in the middle of uncertainty. But reflection can become a refuge. Under pressure, he may wait too long to act, wanting to honor every perspective before choosing a path. A simple truth takes root. Insight is only the beginning, and wisdom needs to be lived in real time. In work, he becomes the leader who steadies others through presence rather than pressure. In his relationship, he becomes the partner who listens beneath the surface and responds with care. Let us come to the final stage, where his growth becomes a way of being. Finally, we reach the gardener, where a man lives from presence, patience, and compassion. He no longer forces growth, but nurtures what is here. His inner life is grounded and steady, shaped by humility and openness. His contribution is generativity. He creates environments where people feel safe to grow, supported by his calm and sincerity. But even here, he must stay awake. His care can turn into over-responsibility if he forgets his own needs. A quiet alignment forms within him. He realizes wisdom is expressed through how he tends to life moment by moment. In his professional world, he becomes the mentor whose presence encourages others to rise. In his intimate life, he brings warmth, clarity, and connection without demanding anything in return. And so the journey comes full circle, not as an ending, but as a way of walking in the world with depth, compassion, and strength. As we come to the end of this episode, it is important to remember that there is no good or bad stage. Each stage simply reflects how a person has learned to make sense of the world at a certain time in life. We all begin in the earliest stages. We all grow through challenge, experience, and reflection. Some people stay anchored in one stage for many years, often because that way of seeing the world once kept them safe. Others move forward, when life invites them to question old patterns and discover new possibilities. The men who actively engage in inner work often progress further, because they learn to meet themselves with honesty rather than fear. Growth happens when we turn inward, not when we chase perfection. The movement from survivor to gardener is not a race. It is a deepening of awareness, compassion, and presence. The stages you have heard today draw from the long tradition of adult development theory, developed by Jane Loevinger in the Susanne Cook-Greuter and Robert Keegan. The characters we use in the Mature Man integration profile align with the leadership stages described by William Torbert and David Rook in their Harvard Business Review article called 7 Transformations of Leadership from 2005, and in their book Action Logics. Their work helps us see that personal growth as a man and leadership maturity are not separate. They rise together. If you want to learn more about the theory behind these stages, please listen to the episode titled MMIP and Adult Development Theory.